Okay, let's do the Joe Rogan homosexual segment. So Joe Rogan, and I'm just stumbling upon this, had a debate with Matt Walsh. Now, everybody's already, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with the debate he had back and forth with Matt Walsh, where Matt showed his ass after saying, you know, millions of kids are on puberty blockers and getting mastectomies every year. And then Joe Rogan was like, really? Let's look into that. And then they Googled it live, and they're like, actually, it's about 1,000 people. And you said it was millions. Like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. And this is an issue that Matt Walsh makes his entire existence. He talks about trans people and so-called transgenderism all the time. And so for him to be so wildly off base just shows how much he's blown up this issue out of proportion, and just on how much of a different planet he is on from medical professionals and the average American, which I do think Joe Rogan kind of represented in much of that conversation. And even though I disagree with Joe Rogan on a lot of stuff, in this section right here, where he starts asking Matt Walsh about homosexuality and his religious stance on homosexuality, which Matt Walsh is opposed to homosexuality. He thinks homosexuality is immoral. He thinks it's wrong, and he thinks gay men should not be able to get married. So that is a bold position. It is a position saying, I believe because of my faith that I can dictate who you are and aren't allowed to marry. I'm thumbing myself into your life. That's what his position is. And so it's a hard position to defend against somebody who generally believes, you know, live and let live, which I think that is generally Joe Rogan's lifestyle, is a live and let live type of guy. Even if I disagree with some of his politics, I do believe that's how he lives. And so knowing that Matt Walsh's position, it's not that surprising that Joe Rogan pressed him on it. But what really got me is that Matt Walsh just does not have much of a defense here against Joe Rogan's questions. It almost felt like Matt Walsh was being asked about his objection to the gays for the first time ever, and he just didn't know what to say. Let's watch.
First place. Why would God make people gay in the first place?
Well, of course I would say it comes from God. If I didn't believe that, then I wouldn't be Christian.
Why would God make people gay?
Well,
if he didn't want them to engage in gay sex?
All people have proclivities or towards different sins, different things that we would call sins.
Yeah, but if that's like their fundamental attractiveness, they're attracted fundamentally to other men, like, or other women. Like, why? It seems like something that God.
Like, there's not like, oh, I have a sexual attraction and a deep emotional love for shoplifting needles to do heroin on a street corner. Like that's like a sin, right? But that's not something that somebody's compelled by their emotions, like in love, and of the type of emotions that a man feels for another man, and the way gay men do, is a beautiful feeling. It is a beautiful feeling to be in love with someone. It is a beautiful thing to share that love with someone, as long as it's two consenting adults. It is not anywhere comparable to theft, which hurts other people, or to murder, which steals the life of somebody else, or to lying, which deceives people. These things, which are sins and all bad things, is not comparable to sharing love with another human being in any way. A love that you can't control. Love that grabs you. Love that, assumedly, is part of God's plan. Why would God give somebody something so beautiful and compel them through their emotions, through their physical and mental desires, to share something that is outwardly and internally so beautiful to them? There's nothing beautiful about stealing. There's nothing beautiful about murder. There's nothing beautiful about lying. There is something beautiful about love. And that's why, if you're a Christian, you view it as a gift. Why would God give that gift to people only for them not to be able to use it, and to deny them and make them suffer through their denial of their desires, of their love of something so beautiful? Why tell gay people to deny that type of a gift? It is horribly immoral. Could you imagine somebody going up to Matt Walsh and saying, you can't love your wife. It is wrong that you love her. You cannot marry her. You cannot have children. You should not be together. It is wrong. That thing that you think is a gift that enriches your life? No, that's bad. Why? Well, I mean, it doesn't really hurt anyone else. I guess but God said so. It doesn't make any sense. If there's a God, why would he bother himself with interfering with something as beautiful as love?
God gave them. Like, why would God give you an attractiveness, or why would you be attracted to the same sex if that was morally reprehensible, if that was against God's will? Why would he instill that lust and that desire and that feeling of being attracted and feeling of being in love with someone of the same sex?
I don't think instilled is not the word that I would use. I don't think God instills it. I think that one of the again, you want to get into Christian doctrine. I mean, one of the basic elements of Christian doctrine is that we're a fallen species.
But we know that other species, also other mammals, have demonstrated homosexual behavior, whether it be penguins, lions, giraffes, especially. Giraffes are gay as hell. So it's not like, wow, humans were just like the rest of nature, all straight, 100% heterosexual, and then all of a sudden, we fell because God was like, oof, you need to go through a gay phase. You need to go through like a Tumblr phase, humanity. Other species also demonstrate that. So did all species go through like a fallen age? All the other species that demonstrate homosexual characteristics, even if it's not like they're like homosexual behavior, as in, they're getting like the seals are getting gay married or whatever. Like anytime, why would they be practicing any type of homosexual behavior if this is caused by a fallen status of humanity?
And so there are many things that come out of our kind of fallen human nature. And by the way, I'm not saying that because other animals do it, therefore it is good, right? I don't just think because something is quote unquote natural, whatever that word means, just because something is done in nature, therefore it is good. I'm just trying to talk about the idea that this came from our fallen status. Did that fallen status also affect all the other animals as well? Doesn't make sense to me. All have, like I said, we all have proclivities towards sin, and no one's going to live a perfect life, to live a moral Christian life is really difficult. It requires a lot of sacrifice, no matter who you are. And that's it. I mean, it's.
Have you wrestled with these thoughts before? Have you had these kind of conversations and really
Sure, absolutely.
tried to figure out why would God create gay people? Do you think that God has created gay people, or do you think they have a choice?
God has created all people, so every person that's gay was created by God, of course. Where exactly does that proclivity come from? Like I said, I don't know exactly. I mean, to say
that's crazy though. Like you're like, where do gays come from? I don't know where they come from. That's what he's admitting here. I don't really know where they come from, but I'm still willing to legislate their sexuality and morally grandstand about the morality of their act. Well, I also don't even know where it comes from.
That someone's born gay.
It just feels like a fear of the unknown.
Well,
not even the unknown. We know what the horrible horror of it is. It's a guy kissing another guy.
I have issues with that go beyond theology, because now you're talking about, if you're born with any sexual proclivity, then that means that we're talking about like gay infants and so on. And
right, but don't you think people are born straight? That some people are born straight? Were you born straight?
It's an odd way.
Matt Walsh was a gay baby, then became a straight baby.
Way of talking about it, like to say that a baby is heterosexual. I think babies don't. don't have a sexuality in that sense.
Right,
that's something
but
that
eventually they will develop a sexuality, and a small percentage of them will be homosexual, and that's always been been documented. It's natural.
It's documented in every society in the world. So, like, obviously, we don't know all the details of what makes somebody homosexual, right? You know, we all heard the like "born this way" kind of like messaging during the gay marriage campaign, but it's probably a combination of both social, like environmental, and genetic factors, stuff that was affected you during the womb. Some scientists guess about like the gestation process, and as you're evolving into a fetus in the womb, that different hormones you're exposed to could make somebody more predisposed to be homosexual. Others talk about like the rates of homosexuality within twins, and that if you're born to the same mother, if one twin is gay, the other twin is more likely to be gay than otherwise. So that does suggest something about the hormonal process of what happens while you're in the womb. It could be due to possible genetics passed down from the mother to father. And it's also possibly social as you're growing up. What exactly could cause you socially to be gay? Who knows? This is what leads to people saying we need to ban this media, we need to ban that media, because this is making kids gay, that's making kids gay. We don't know what type of social factors could push somebody to be more likely to be gay or not gay either way. And even if we could find out and control for those social factors and what they are, that would still probably not get rid of the people who are being infected by, you know, the hormones in the womb or the other things that is pushing people to be gay. I don't think there's a way to control it. Not that we should be attempting to control it, period. But there's going to be gay people whether we like it or not. And the people who are gay, many of them, really all of them, because we don't even know what the environmental factors are. And when you're a baby, you can't control those environmental factors, be the people around you. There's gay people and they can't control the fact that they're gay. We know that. We 100% know that. And so I feel pretty messed up telling them that by subject of their birth and their natural attractions and of what everybody else would call a gift from God, love is wrong in their sense. And what they should either do is die alone or fake it with somebody else, which I think is living a lie. And I think lying's the same.
Yeah. It's even natural in some animals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we started by talking about laws and what laws are put in place. Now we're talking about Christian teaching.
But don't you think that
Christianity has I don't deny that Christianity has a challenging sexual moral code, but we're also, I'm not suggesting that the Christian sexual morality should be codified into law.
He doesn't believe gay marriage should be allowed, so he does, actually.
But isn't that what's happening if that's how we define marriage? Because marriage is law. And if marriage shouldn't involve gay people, then you are saying that it's because of Christian fundamentalist ideology.
No, because I think you can talk about the marriage issue without even getting into biblical morality, which is what
I remember. You want to know what if any of you are curious of what his statement on biblical, on like the marriage issue outside of biblical morality is, he believes that marriage, the purpose of marriage and the purpose of relationships is to produce children. And since gays can't do that, that there's not really like a functional purpose to marriage for gays. The counter to this, I think, is pretty clear. Does this mean sterile people should not be able to get married? If some woman goes through a horrible accident and their uterus just cannot host life, does that mean now they can't marry their significant other? If a man finds out that he's sterile for any number of reasons, maybe he got a vasectomy, who knows, can he not get married? If some elderly people who have gone past menopause, they can't have children anymore, their loved ones have died long ago and they're in a retirement home together and they want to get married to show their love, can they not get married? Or let's put all that aside and let's challenge the fundamental premise. What if the gay couples adopts children? What if one of the gay parents is a woman, and they're the lesbian couple, and they decide to artificially inseminate? Or a gay couple, two men, have somebody who hosts a child for them, and they bring a child into the world. There's so many other purposes a gay marriage could serve outside of these two boinking and them themselves producing a child that way. And that will only increase the amount of different purposes it can serve from a reproduction and raising children standpoint as the science on reproductive health care continues to improve.
I was doing. I mean, you brought up the Bible,
right?
I didn't. Introduce
well, I brought about we talked about Christianity,
right?
In particular,
right. But that's my point. It's like you introduced that to the conversation.
Yes. Because I wanted to find the reason why you opposed gay people being married.
You know, I disagree with Joe Rogan on a lot of things, but when he's right, he's right. When he's right, he's right. Do.